Hey everybody, it's Lo and welcome back to my channel, Lo Without Limits. In this video, I'm going to be starting my spring rooftop garden. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. Happy spring. Spring is finally sprung. So the day that I'm filming this video and starting my 2022 rooftop garden is March 24th. So not even a full week into spring. Absolutely love it, and I'm absolutely so excited to do this. So as you know, if you've seen previous videos, I do have a rooftop garden as well as a little herb planter on our downstairs patio, and I did start that in early to mid-May because we moved in here at the end of April last year. I did start it a little bit later in the season, so now that we are fresh into spring, I'm really excited to get it started at the start of the season just so they can grow even more and do even better on the rooftop. I'm not one to go all in and like start seeds and, you know, have like little buds and everything. So today I'm actually going to go to Anawalt, and they have a full garden center, and Anawalt is like an LA based like home and garden store, like an LA Lowe's, the Erewhon of hardware, except affordable, but I love it just as much. So I'm super excited to go there, get some fresh little plants, some new veggies, some new herbs. Let me just share my plan and what I hope to buy today at Anawalt. I'm also going to see if they have fabric potting bags. This last go around, I did just use plastic containers. I'm going to do companion planting, which will just allow me to plant more without having a little bag for each individual thing. That way I can combine things and grow more using less space, which is really important because the roof's not that big. Companion planting is also really good for reducing bugs because, for example, there's like cucumber beetles, but they don't really like dill. So if you plant dill next to the cucumber, then they'll smell the dill and be like, I don't want to go over here and eat the cucumbers. And it also just helps the plants grow more, probably because of like pest prevention, and then also just because they share nutrients, like, oh, I got more nitrogen, you want some of that, and then they just feed each other. So there are some plants that go really well together, other plants that kind of compete for space together. So I did look into it. The first one I want to do is tomatoes with basil and marigolds. Marigolds not necessarily to eat, but mainly to keep bugs away. The tomato plant is actually like, it grew a second bit, and then that part's actually doing really, really well. It's growing a couple new tomatoes right now. So I'm actually just going to keep that and then repot it. That way I can get rid of the old original tomato stem, which I had already cut off, and then also take it out of that plastic container, because every time I water it, it also just kind of pees through. So I also just think it needs fresh dirt, get rid of anything old, and then plant it with some basil and marigold. I also want to do cucumbers again because I did like the cucumbers, and I will put it with some dill. And then I'm also gonna try to put radish in that same one because cucumbers are going to grow up, radish will grow down. That way they can share space and they do work well together. I also want to try lettuce and then put it with some beets and chives. And I want to add calendula to the planter, the herb planter, and try to get mint out of there. I was digging around the other day and mint just has roots everywhere. Suffocated the basil, got rid of the violas really fast. It's trying to take over sage, but it's just fighting back. Thankfully, thyme and oregano haven't lost the mint battle, but I think I am just gonna kind of dig around and see if I can get mint out of there, maybe put mint in its own little area. And then trying to do cilantro again, and this one I would keep in a shadier area since cilantro doesn't like heat or sun, which I find very, very interesting since you associate it with Mexican dishes a lot, and when you think of Mexico, you think heat and sun. So it's weird that cilantro does not like the heat or the sun. So that's the plan that I'm going into Anawalt with right now, but we'll see what they have. We'll see if I see something and get distracted and think, ooh, I should get that too. Off I go to Anawalt. Okay, I'm back. I'm fully overheating. I spent like an hour at Anawalt just going back and forth because they didn't have everything I expected. So I was kind of like changing my game plan and thinking like, hey, like maybe I do less, maybe I do this, maybe I combine these two things. So it was a lot of like standing there doing research back and forth, and I think I just got like dehydrated because I was like out in the sun. Now I'm dying, so I did that for like an hour, packed by Whole Foods on my way. That way I can make a lamb shepherd's pie tonight. I just needed a couple extra things because now it's like 4:30. So that was just under 2 hours worth of running around. I looked everything up from my car, which is underground, so I have to go up steps, then up more steps, but I'm gonna try to do it all in front of the apartment. That way I'm not going all the way up to the roof. That's the plan, is to do it out front, at least for the small 5-gallon potting bags. I ended up going with 2 5-gallon potting bags and this shallow round 2 feet in diameter, and that's gonna be for my greens. But while I'm up here, I'm gonna grab the tomatoes. That way I can replant them downstairs. I need to put my hair up. I need to grab a clip. Get my things. Now to tomatoes. Okay, there were a lot of little bugs, like gnats, crawling on top of the soil for the tomatoes, so ran it down here real fast. Don't want gnats up on all our houseplants. So I got this 5-gallon bag. I'm gonna put some of our oldest soil in there just to get rid of it and mix it up with the new stuff so it's moist. I'm going to transfer tomatoes and add basil. I'm gonna add parsley to it as well. So I did the 2 5-gallon pots and repotted the habanero peppers into another little pot. All I have left to do is the greens, so I got a little 6-pack thing of lettuce and a little 6-pack thing of spinach, and I also got 2 little things of chives and a thing of mint, since I am gonna rip all the mint out, but I still wanted some mint for like teas and stuff. Both of those are really good for keeping bugs away from greens. So I ended up changing the game plan because of, again, availability. So here, this is a 5-gallon fabric bag, and moved tomatoes, and then I put some parsley, some Italian parsley, as well as some sweet basil. So both of those just grow really well with tomatoes, give tomatoes even more flavor. Tomatoes also just help those grow very well. Kind of like my little Italian bag. And then I repotted habanero because these ones were doing well, so I just gave it into that little pot just so it can just be habanero and do its things, and its roots were everywhere in the pepper pot. So that's why it was thriving, is because the just took over the other peppers. And then over here in this 5-gallon bag, I have cucumber and then dill, which right now is just sprouts. I put 4 marigolds. They also came in a pack of 6, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the other 2 quite yet. I also was gonna do sage in a pot up here with something, but I actually just got more, and I'm gonna replant it in the planter downstairs just to give it a little bit more, as well as rosemary. I'm gonna end up putting rosemary in that planter too. I put ginger and cilantro in the bottom pot, so I'm gonna grow some more ginger roots, some more ginger rhizomes, and then cilantro, and hopefully it does well downstairs because it's on the ground, so it does get some shade from the little balcony edge, and then also because the planter with the other herbs is on top. So now I'm going with this bigger bag. It's 15-gallon, 2-foot diameter, solid little size. I'm gonna do lettuce and spinach, and then put some chives and mint in between. It's like mixed in there, that way it keeps bugs away. I didn't film downstairs just because I started going. Once I started going, I started getting sweaty and started getting into it, so I didn't really like stop to grab my camera and set up. In terms of dirt, at first I was looking at these like $15 bags that weren't even that big, and I was like, oof, it's gonna be expensive because I'm gonna need like 4, $60 right there. And then I found other dirt that I realized that this is the dirt that I had used last year. It's for cactus plants, and it has a lot of perlite. So I got 2 of those. That was like $8 each. And then I got this one, an all-purpose potting mix, just because it has more nutrients in it. Kind of like mix that in there to give it just like the solid good soil plus the like nutrient soil, and just do like a nice little mix in there. And I've currently filled up that last bag, and it is the perfect amount, which I'm stoked about. So I will need to get more to help with the planter downstairs, which I can just do tomorrow. I'm very happy that it worked out perfectly. This thing is 8 inches tall, so I have it just, it's probably at like 5 inches right now because I am gonna still add the stuff in there. So I feel like that's a pretty solid depth just because it is just green. The benefits of the grow bags is that it just gets more air and oxygen and nutrients to the plants through the roots. And then if you've ever really taken a plant out of a pot and the roots are all at the bottom kind of spun around, it helps it not do that because they'll feel like, oh, there's oxygen out there, and it will start kind of growing elsewhere instead of just spinning around itself and like keep hitting into the plastic or the ceramic or whatever it is. And when Austin saw them when I was downstairs and he came home, and he's like, ooh, like what's that? He saw the tomato one, and I was like, oh, they're grow bags, they're good for the plants. Like, I'm really excited to do that, you can reuse them, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, did the people at Anawalt say that those are good? Which I didn't talk to the people at Anawalt about them, but I was like, yeah, and they said that they're really good for the plants, and also Kevin from Epic Gardening says that they're great. I get all of my plant advice from Kevin from Epic Gardening. Anyway, now I'm going to put in my spinach, lettuce, 2 chives, and mint. So it's the next day, Friday. After the gym today, I stopped by Anawalt again to get another 1-gallon bag of dirt because I needed more for the planter downstairs. And while I was there, so that planter is in a coconut husk liner. I ended up just getting an entirely new one and ripping up that other one, which was a lot of work and was very, very messy, but I managed to get the sage out, the oregano out, and the thyme out, which was really hard because thankfully they did have a lot of roots and they were doing well, but around their roots were really thick mint roots. And it was just crazy, and trying to rip out the coconut husk from even just around the wood that it's on, like that little edge. It was really, really hard because the mint was just everywhere and all up in the coconut husk. So I'm really happy I ended up getting a new one. I think if I just kept that one and then put the new herbs in there, mint, since there were so many really, really thick roots, I think would have still managed to pop up and take everything over. So I'm really happy I ended up doing that today. I also ended up putting chamomile in that. So I put chamomile, the other two marigolds, more sage, original sage as well, the original thyme since that was still doing well, the original oregano since that was doing okay, and then also some rosemary. I'm really excited about all of those. I also repotted lemongrass because it just wasn't really doing well in that pot. Its roots were growing well. Every time I watered it, the water would come right through. So I kind of took that out. It just popped right out. Really like messed with and just like kind of destroyed the soil and the roots in order to break it up, and then put it in some fresh soil in a slightly bigger, wider pot. And then just looking at mint and how it did take over. I know I put mint in with my lettuce and the romaine lettuce, the spinach, and then the 2 chives yesterday because I thought like, oh, it would do well, it's gonna keep away bugs, blah blah. But then just looking at those mint roots and seeing how many like thick runners came through, I was like, I don't need them mint suffocating my lettuce. So I just took that out and put it into the pot that the lemongrass was in. I'm gonna show you the finished product. I'm also on the ends, I'm gonna add some of these because we have a lot of crows in the neighborhood, and when there's birds that see the shiny, they won't come and just like nibble on the flowers and on your vegetables. So if you've ever like driven past like a farm or anything and there's some string sparkly things flying, it's to keep the birds away. And this is from my birthday the other week. My sister and my parents gave me a gift and it was wrapped in this wrapping paper, and I took it off nicely and I ended up cutting it up. So it's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna show you my upstairs finished product, and then I must take a shower. So here's the finished product with the tomatoes, and then also because of these, I am gonna come up here and water them again just because the soil's already looking super, super dry. It's been so warm out. I did take some of the coconut husk that didn't have any mint roots in there. I made sure it was mint root free and put some of this because I read when I was trying to figure out like what to do with the coconut husk, if I can reuse it. People said that tomatoes actually really like it, and it kind of like helps and also will keep the ground, like the soil, cool. Here is cucumber. I'm also gonna make a bunch of these new little tags with the little plasticky ones that I bought last year since I still have more of those. So I actually need to take that one down. Again, I have cucumber with dill, and then I planted 4 of the marigolds here. They look so pretty too. And then my old peppers. So here they are, just the habaneros doing well. So I put that in its own little pot with the little mother goose that my sister got me when she was in the UK last year. If anybody in the LA area needs a habanero pepper, please let me know. Look at all of these. Strawberries. I actually need to go through and just trim up some. That way the soil can get a little bit of sunlight. They're my little berries. So excited for that. I think I'll maybe leave it on a couple more days and then eat it because I don't want to let it get on there too long and then start rotting on the root. Here's mint. I ended up giving it its own little container because I love mint. I love fresh mint for my teas. I love having mint. Figured I'd put it in its own thing, that way it doesn't kill everybody. And then last but not least, spinach, the romaine mix, and then the 2 chives. Austin ended up asking if there were any bigger ones of these, and I said, well, yes, this was the mini grow circle bag. And he's like, you should have gotten a bigger one. And then I said, I kept opening it up in the store, trying to figure out like how big it would be, and it looked really big in the store, like it looked big in the aisle. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be huge, it's gonna take up so much roof space. And then when I did put it on the roof, I was like, oh, okay, it's actually like smaller than I anticipated, although a bigger circle one would have been really, really huge. So I think while it's smaller than I thought it would be, like on the roof, like it's not taking up as much space, I think a bigger circle would not work as well. Before I hop in the shower and clean off the dirt off me, I will show you the downstairs patio. Here is the lemongrass in its new little container. Hopefully it does much better. Kind of took a lot of the soil out from the inside, and it has new fresh soil. Down here in the nice shady area is cilantro, and then there is a ginger rhizome under there, so we'll see how that does. And then here is the new coconut husk. I soaked it in my bath. I felt like this one was a bit harder to get into the right shape, especially here on the edges, as you can see, but maybe just like with time and once it kind of settles a bit, it'll take the right shape. The other one I just felt like it soaked in better. but the other one I also bought with this, so maybe it was like a bit more of an accurate fit, and this was just kind of like a standalone coconut husk to refill. But here's the new rosemary, the other two marigolds, sage, this is the old sage, I like cut off anything that was kind of dying, and then the new sage behind it. Some beautiful chamomile, because chamomile when grown with other herbs just makes all the other herbs produce more oils, so then they taste better and they just have more flavor, so that's super exciting. And also I just love chamomile, and I can dry it and put it in tea. The original thyme, since that was still doing really well, it did have a really good root ball, so it was able to withstand the roots of the mint, and same with oregano, had like a really good solid deep root ball, so it was able to withstand the mint. Spring planter. That is it. My 2022 spring rooftop garden and herb planter are complete and ready for the new year. Can't wait to get back to eating on the patio. I dusted it off a little bit, so super excited to get back to eating out there. Austin and I did that a lot over the summer. It was just so nice when the sun went down super late and everything, so really excited just for spring, summer, getting outside, new fresh veggies. And same as last year, I do plan on doing an update of the herb garden and the vegetables a little bit later in the year, maybe like middle of summer, just so you guys can see how they're doing. But on my Instagram, Low Without Limits, I will be updating there a lot, especially as I get to enjoy the roof more as the weather gets better, and just I love being out there with the vegetables. It truly makes me so happy. So I'll definitely be updating constantly on my Instagram, and then you should expect another video update soon. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you're planting anything this year and what else you want to see here on my channel. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe. I upload a new video every Wednesday. So until next one, thanks for watching.